We are. We're here. Welcome to the big show. How you doing, everybody? Bruce here from Traveling with Bruce, TWB. Welcome to the show for Monday, December the 4th, 2023, live from Palm Desert, California. And oh, doesn't it feel good saying that? So happy to be here. Welcome one, welcome all to joining me here. Jennifer and I arrived safe and sound on Friday. We left Calgary. It was a very calm, sunny morning, about 25, 30 degrees when we got up. Flew out of Calgary and clear skies, no problem at all. Sunny, calm flight. Landed here in the desert, blue skies, gorgeous flight in. We could look out the windows and see the golf courses and just heavenly, just like I was hoping it would be. Landed mayhem at the airport, but I gotta tell you, generally speaking, the people that arrive in Palm Desert, California, when you come in here, you land in a pretty small airport. To kind of give you an idea, there are only four areas. They have four of these moving belts that have luggage coming out of them. There's only four. So your odds are, you're in this room, belt 1, 2, 3, or 4 is where your luggage is coming from. And they're not that far apart from each other either. This airport hasn't changed its arrivals area in, I would bet you, 20 years. It's still the same. Right behind you, and behind the moving belts that are in front of you, right back here, are the car rental counters, and they've been there for 25 years. Anyway, generally speaking, the passengers that arrive in Palm Springs International are very happy. They're about to begin a vacation kind of a stay. Generally speaking, I'd say 85% of passengers coming in are delighted to land here once a year, twice a year. Very few are in and out for travel, for business. This is not known as a business airport. Anyway, the four belts each had a TV screen above them telling you, supposed to tell you what flight your luggage, this is Southwest, this is WestJet, that's American. They weren't working. So they had some poor schmuck had to pick up a telephone and announce to everybody, WestJet from Vancouver, baggage carousel number 1, WestJet from Calgary, carousel number 3. Well, he got confused, and every 5 minutes he had to change it. So we're all waiting for bags to arrive because the planes seem to land all in 10 minutes of each other. And what we had was a comedy of people going back and forth between the belts, trying to figure out which belt to get to. Some were getting disgruntled. Most were going, yeah, it's Palm Springs. What do you want? We're here. Thank goodness we're here. We got our bags. They arrived safe and sound, no problem. And by the time we were leaving, half the folks had already left. It was calming down. We rented a Tesla through Turo and contacted the owner. He told me where the car was parked. I found it. He opened it remotely with his phone. It's unbelievable. I opened the door, and inside the door on the console is a little plastic key. Looks like a credit card. It's your key to enter the car. And since then, he's made it so that my Tesla is now in my phone. So I can see at any time how the car is doing. Right here is there's the Tesla right there on the thing. And it's telling me that there are 236 miles available on the car. It's all charged up, and inside the car, it's 76 degrees right now. If I were to go for a car ride and I wanted the car to be at 68 degrees, I could tell the car to go to 68 degrees between now and a minute or two from now. When I got there, the air conditioning would turn on. There you go. It's electric. It's unbelievable. It's just unbelievable. Anyway, the car is good. We're here at the condo. We're good. We got to the condo. We went to Costco, got a hot dog, got some pizza, had a sundae, did some shopping, and anyway, we're all settled in, and here we are. So welcome all, and it's great to see you. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for those of you who are hitting these thumbs up buttons for us. Yes, last week I was begging you for thumbs up buttons. We had 110 thumbs ups last week because of the rerunners on this channel. Those of you who watch this show on the rerun, you come through for me every week. You put us over the top. We get triple digits on thumbs ups. Right now, there are 26 people here watching live, and we will have, I hope, 100 thumbs ups in a couple of days for this show. So thank you, those of you who are here, those of you who are coming in here a little later, and those of you who are watching on the rerun. You guys are the best. Robert is in the house. Welcome, Robert Mella. Thumbs up number one. It's 6:21 Waterbury, Connecticut time. Welcome, sir. Shady Hill. Hello, Bruce. Number two, thumbs up. Sharon, I think I'm number two. Also, hello, Bruce and TW family. I've been helping Kevin with publicity mailings for his newest book, The Other Murder, coming out in hardcover in January. Ken is in the house too. Hi, Bruce. And Jen, from Janet and Ken, number four, thumbs up. The temperature in Saginaw is a cloudy 33 degrees. Gas is $3.15 a gallon for regular. Good evening, everyone. Sharon, the author will be here soon. Right now, he's off to the post office to send out his publicity mailings. Fantastic. Nathan is in the house. Number six, thumbs ups. Thank you, my friend. Gas is $2.95 a gallon today. Going to go down the road. You can go down the road and pay $3.55 a gallon. I don't understand why people do that. Weather was good today, sunny and upper 50s. Same tomorrow, but Wednesday, snow for Asheville, North Carolina. Alan Carter is in the house from Calgary, Alberta. How you doing, pal? Thank you for being here. Diane Flowers. Hi there, Bruce, Jen, and all. Number 13 today. Stephen Butler, I'm number 8. I think, I'm not sure. Clear day in Northwest Arkansas. Gas $2.43 a gallon. Temperature 39 Fahrenheit. Another beautiful day on the Big Blue Marble. That is good price for gas. Kirk Brunson's YouTube and Facebook channel. Kirk, the man, is in the house. Welcome, sir. It's good to have you here. Hi, Bruce and TW family. I'm here. We're busy at work. Welcome, sir, to the show. You made it. Good to see you. Splair, thanks for being on the air, actually, Uncle Bruce. I need some different thoughts this night. It's 2 a.m. here in Germany. Splair, how you doing? There we are. We're together. I met Splair in Dortmund. Jennifer and I met him in Dortmund this summer. Jeff Gunter, I'm number 22 here, Bruce. Welcome back to the US of A. Thank you, Jeff. We are so pleased to be here. Love it down here. It's absolutely marvelous. Yeah, can't complain one little old bit. Just absolutely fabulous. Gorgeous clear blue skies down here. No wind today. It was just super nice watching the golfers go by. And the golf carts was 75 degrees today. You can't beat that. It's pretty nice. Ann Rogers is in the house. Hi, Ann. Hi, Bruce. Ann and Brent from Ancaster, Ontario. We're number 23 on your thumbs up meter. Gas is 145.5 a liter here. And it was 4 degrees today with no snow for Celsius. It would be about 40 Fahrenheit. No snow. Right on. No, so glad you're here, everybody. Thank you. We now have, let's take a look here. Our thumbs up meter is now showing 23 thumbs ups. It's absolutely incredible. Thank you all so much for your support of this channel. Hitting the thumbs up button, that brings traffic here. 30 of you are here, 23 thumbs ups. That ratio doesn't exist anywhere on YouTube. You can watch live YouTubers, and you'll see they'll have 150 viewers at a time, and they've got 40 thumbs ups. You'll see some with, they got 450 viewers. They got like 80 thumbs ups. It's incredible how you guys support us. We appreciate it. Noah, hi, Bruce. Sorry, I'm a bit late. Did I miss anything? Not a thing. Thumbs up 24. Thank you. It's all good. Jeff, we had to cancel a cruise to Hawaii that is sailing away right now. So sad here. I'm sorry to hear that. Jen and I, of course, we can't do a cruise right now. Jen, of course, is getting a new hip installed at the Eisenhower Medical Center between now and the end of the month. That's why we're here predominantly. She's going to be in therapy and recovery for January, February. And then we're here for the rest of the winter time, March, April, and May. We've got, of course, we have family coming. Our daughter is going to come down, and we we won't be lonely down here. Believe me. When folks get the word, oh, you going to be in you can be in Palm Desert? Oh, maybe I'll come by and say hi. Oh, sure. Yeah. There's no shortage of visitors who want to come and see you when you're in Palm Desert, California. But for us, our next cruise, it could be that we do a cruise this summer, maybe. Might be in the summer, late summer. One of those. I know Jen would like to do a Ireland, Scotland kind of cruise, and to start from Southampton and go to Ireland and go up around the UK and all the way to the other side. That could be done. We don't know yet. When we know, you'll know. But at the moment, that's something on Jennifer's wish list is to do one of these cruises. Larry Blake is in the house, number 24. Gas is $3.16 a gallon. Welcome, Larry. Sharon, best wishes to Jen on successful surgery and speedy recovery. Yeah, we are looking forward to it. The last year's operation went very, very well. The recovery went very well. Her hip is very good now. I mean, her replacement hip, it's absolutely flawless. No side effects. We're now looking forward to number 2, and of course the number 1 hip will be the stronger of the two to guide her forward. Yeah, we are pretty confident that she's going to be in much better shape, stopping these aches and pains and the failures of her hip. We got to get away from that. So yeah, we're very much looking forward to this next 6-8 weeks. I'm crossing fingers for Jen. Hopefully everything will work well. Sounds, by the way, like a great plan. Edinburgh, Scotland, probably as well as a target. Yeah, we're thinking, if we can do Ireland and Glasgow, that region, and then up north through Scotland and then all the way down the other side, that'd be great. We just don't know for sure. Would we do a trip that might start in Copenhagen and end in Southampton? Would we start a cruise that starts in Southampton, ends in Copenhagen? I don't know. We're going to see how this plays out. Stephen, we are in the planning stages of a trip to Ireland next year. Paid deposits, finishing getting the schedule, then we'll book our flight. This is a group tour, local music, part of the plan. And Birds, do you cruise Royal Caribbean? If so, what's your favorite ship? We have done a cruise on Royal Caribbean. We were on the Explorer of the Seas, and that was a ways ago out of Bayonne, New Jersey. But I have not taken any other cruises. I was supposed to be on the Harmony of the Seas for a cruise, but COVID canceled that. We had a group cruise for this channel set up for that. Then we had another group cruise we were trying to put together for April of 2021, I think it was. And that was going to be on the Ovation of the Seas, no, Odyssey of the Seas. We were trying to get on the Odyssey of the Seas. But that got canceled too. And so since COVID, I created a new channel, Stock Markets with Bruce channel, my other channel. And I'm on there 5 days a week. Very heavily, and with Jennifer's failing physical condition with her hip, cruising just has been off the window. We got through COVID, and we did a trip to Europe together in 21, and we found we were very limited, very physically limited to do much of anything because of her worsening hip condition. And so when we traveled to here for the winter of 21, 22, the first hip was replaced. Now the second hip will be done. And that sets us up maybe for the summer, and maybe that's when our next cruise will happen. So we'll let you know when we know more. So, one step at a time. I recommend Oasis of the Seas, says Bert's. Fabulous. I understand the Icon of the Seas, the brand new one, is now the biggest ship in the world. It just launched, and it is out there. And so, yeah, Royal Caribbean. Of course, they also own Celebrity Cruise Lines. They own Azamara. I believe they own Azamara, unless they sold it off. I'm trying to remember that. But they operate quite a number of ships. Okay, I have some news today to share with you. Some cruise news. I thought I'd let you in on what I have. I don't have a ton of cruise news, but I have a little bit of cruise news. And it seems like every week I have to give you an update on the Carnival Panorama cruise ship. I think I first did a Carnival Panorama update for you a month ago, 4 Mondays ago. That is when the ship ran into engine problems, and it was on a cruise down the Mexican Riviera, which it does. It's the only cruise it does. And it turns out that it had left Long Beach, went all the way down the coast of the Baja Peninsula to get to Cabo. And it got to Cabo, and they announced that the ship was not going anywhere else. It wasn't going to go to Mazatlan. It wasn't going to go to Puerto Vallarta. It would spend 2 days in Cabo instead of one day. And then it would turn around and it would work its way back to Long Beach, but at reduced speed because they were having propulsion problems, engine problems. It's not the first time that the Panorama's run into this issue. So then the story goes that the ship returns back to Long Beach, and they canceled immediately 3 cruises or 4 cruises right away because the ship has to get engine problems repaired. Well, it turns out the ship actually has to go to Portland, Oregon, to get worked on there. So the ship limps along north along the U.S. West Coast, goes all the way up the entire coast of California, gets to Oregon, goes towards Portland, and lo and behold, the ship is too tall to fit under the bridges in Portland. Take a look at these photos here. I have a beautiful shot of Portland here. You see those bridges there? The Panorama can't get under those. There's a railway bridge and a couple of other bridges. And it's trying to get to here. The ship is trying to get to this dry dock facility right here. You can see down on the bottom there. That's a ship that's in dry dock several years ago. And here's another angle of that port. And you can see in the background there, in the background of this picture, the bridge, one of the bridges that the ship cannot get under. And so the ships that get worked on in this dry dock actually have to be low enough to come up the river. So it turns out that the Panorama had to go to Victoria, British Columbia, because in Victoria, British Columbia, they have the machinery and a dry dock facility to help the ship fit under this bridge here in Portland. What did they do? They took the funnel off the top of the ship. Look at that. The big whale tail is gone. And they took it off, and they also dismantled a big chunk of the front antenna of the ship, apparently. Now she'll fit underneath the bridges in Portland. And so now she's headed back here to Portland, and I think she's already cleared the bridges and is now at dry dock. So they can finally, after 3 weeks of time, this is causing delay after delay after delay. They can now get the ship into dry dock, get it out of the water, get the technicians underneath that ship, the engines, to solve this dilemma. I'm assuming, again, I have made assumptions, and I cannot verify any of this. I do not know if the entire crew are still on that ship or not. It's possible that the ship got back to Long Beach, offloaded all their passengers, and then offloaded a bunch of their crew, like the hotel staff, the laundry people, baggage handlers, the waiters, the captains, all these folks, dishwashers. They don't need them. They only need enough staff to handle the crew to run the ship, which might be 100 people, 200 people. So I don't know if the entire crew has been housed in Long Beach, in the LA area. Are they in long-term Airbnb rental? I have no idea what they're doing with them. I was wondering if they were dropping them off in Portland, Oregon, if that was the plan, because the ship was going to be in dry dock for a week or two. Would they get off the ship there then? Have they been on the ship the whole time? I don't know. I don't have the answer for you. But yeah, this is what she looked like, I guess, this morning or yesterday. Now, once they get the engine fixed up, once they get this propulsion thing repaired, the ship goes back to Victoria again, and they put the funnel back on. They put the whale tail back on. They put the assembly back on, the antenna assembly. And then the ship has to go all the way south back to Long Beach to start cruising again. So I'm convinced that they probably canceled additional cruises. It might be 5 or 6 cruises lost. And I'm guessing 4,000 passengers per ship maximum, times 6 cruises, at least 24,000 passengers. Do the math. Is it $1,500 a person, $2,000 a person, all in with drinks, gambling, you name it, and times 24,000 people, money lost. That is millions and millions of dollars. Unbelievable. So I don't know. I don't know what to make of that. So that's the story on the Panorama. We're going to be talking about it next week. It won't be back and done yet. Noah says, I recommend Oasis too. Been on it twice and loved it both times. Sharon says, Oasis is my favorite ship by far. I imagine sister ships in that class are similarly wonderful. Yes, as Birds, I've been on Oasis twice before and after her renovation. I liked her better than Harmony and Symphony. Sharon, it's always those damn azapods, says Sharon. Rocky, hi, Bruce. And TWB friends from Chesapeake, Virginia. Welcome, Rocky. The temperature is 46 degrees, down from 64. Gas is 303, and I am thumbs up number 28. Right on, buddy. Birds reminds me of the Carnival Triumph situation. Exactly. Kevin Chapman, the author, is in the house. Welcome, Kevin. Hi, Bruce. Glad you made it to the Winter Palace. Best to Jen. Still fairly mild here in central New Jersey. Gas is holding steady at $3.19 a gallon. Happy holidays to everybody. And I am thumbs up number 32. Thank you, sir. And congratulations on your latest book. Keep it going. Ms. M, hello all. 30 thumbs ups from a very wet Fraser Valley. Welcome, Ms. M, to the channel tonight and to our show from British Columbia. It's great to have you with us tonight. All right, some more news for you. Our friends at Carnival, this is another Carnival story, and you're going to probably hear this kind of a story for the next several months. This is the first of probably several. First, a little background for you. When COVID hit and the cruise lines had to shut down, everywhere, Carnival did what everyone else did in the cruise business. They laid off their staff. Their onshore people were furloughed. Their ship crews were sent home. They were systematically, they shut down all the ship's employees, and they basically flew home. Many hundreds of thousands of employees. All these cruise lines, Carnival included. And then, of course, the ships were kept 20 miles off the U.S. coast. If they were down in the Florida area, they were in the international waters between Bahamas and the U.S. The ships would come into Miami. Maybe every 2 weeks they would come in for like a 6-hour turnaround sort of thing. They'd come in, they would offload their black water, their sewage, which would be treated, of course. They would pick up fresh water if necessary. They would offload waste. They would pick up provisions for the 100, 150, 200 crew members on board these ships. They would get enough food. They would get enough medicine for the medical wing, and all this sort of stuff. And they would pick up fuel for the ship, and if any maintenance needed, or if they needed parts for repair, they would have them pre-ordered, and it would be loaded onto the ship, and then into the waters they'd go, and they would do repairs at the ship. They would paint the ships. They would do drills, and wait out the COVID. And this was done with all the cruise lines, with all their ships, for over a year. And we've all, we talked about this. There were ships off the coast of Barbados. There were ships, coming and going in out of San Juan, I believe. There were ships in and out of LA occasionally, but generally not much going on. And while this was happening, the cruise lines were experiencing major revenue losses, and they had major bills to keep paying, even though they weren't using the ships with passengers. They had to pay their monthly payments on their loans. They had to pay insurance to keep their ships fully insured. They had to pay their salaries of these standby crews and the skeletal head office staff, but they had to keep these companies alive, and they had to borrow money. And Carnival, which owns, of course, Cunard, owns Princess Cruise Lines, Holland America Cruise Lines. They own Costa Cruise Lines. I think whatever of the number they have like 7 or 8 or 9 different cruise lines. They borrowed money through the mother corporation, through Carnival Limited, to fund the upkeep and maintenance of their entire fleet of 110 ships. And of course, while all this is going on, ships are still being built for the company at shipyards on a reduced work schedule. And sooner or later, they would have to take delivery of their new ships. In the case of Carnival, of course, they're taking delivery of these mammoth, behemoth 5,000 passenger ships now to the Mardi Gras, the Jubilee, and so on. And retired out, of course, they retired out some of their older balcony-less ships and what have you. Ships from the 1990s had to go. All right. With all that said, here's the story. Carnival Corporation owes $25 billion and more, maybe $35 billion to bankers. And the loans that they were taking out 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, these would have been 5 to 7 year loans that turn over every 5 to 7 years. And what they do is typically all they have to do is pay the interest on the money. They can afford to pay just the interest. They don't have to pay principal. And at the end of 5 years, let's say, the $100 million they borrowed 5 years ago comes up for renewal today, or 90 days from now. They would go back to Wall Street and say, we just want to roll over that $100 million loan that we took out 5 years ago. Then Wall Street would let them know, well, your interest is going to run you about whatever percentage point, and we'll figure it out. And then they would go back to the lenders, pension funds, mutual funds, hedge funds, you name it, and find $100 million. Well, during COVID, the cruise line like Carnival and Royal Caribbean and Norwegian, they would go to Wall Street and say, okay, we have in 90 days, we have $300 million, $400 million, $500 million maturing out. We want to borrow $1 billion. We want to add $500 million to that and borrow $1 billion for 6 or 7 years. And what Wall Street was doing during COVID was saying, no problem. There's money everywhere to borrow, not a problem. You guys have never missed an interest payment. So they would go to all of their institutional investors and they would roll out $1 billion in bonds. Every investor would buy 20, 50 million, $100 million worth. And they'd raise $1 billion. And the interest rates would be 3.5%, 4% interest back in the day during COVID. Well, after COVID was over, just as it was ending and everything was reopening, cruise lines kept coming and coming. Every 3 months, Carnival was coming to the market. We need $1 billion. We need another $1 billion. We need another $1 billion. And they were raising $500 million more than they actually were paying off. This extra $500 million was paying the costs of not being in business. And they were, borrowing. I think it was over 10 billion added by Carnival. Might have been over 20 billion added by Carnival in like 2 years. So it's like 5 billion a quarter more in debt. Well, now the debt is maturing that they've issued in the past and coming forward. Here's a problem. We've had higher interest rates, and we now have the bank rate, the U.S. Treasury rate's 5%. It's not 0, it's 5. And if you're looking for a mortgage, some of you out there, you know what a mortgage is, 6, 7, 8%, 9%. Some of you car loans out there, you've heard car loans, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12%. Personal lines of credit, personal loans, all depends on you and your banker's relationship. And, some folks are paying 6, 7% interest. Others are paying 8, 10, and 12. Well, cruise lines are paying more now for loans than before. Every time a cruise line comes to the market now to raise money, to roll over old debt, their interest rates are now higher. And in the case of cruise lines, up until a year ago, Carnival was being told, as along with Norwegian and others, they were having to pay rates of 8 to 14% because they weren't bringing money in the front door. They were just borrowing money to stay alive and not bringing any money in. And they were literally borrowing money to pay the interest on the debt that's out there to not go in default. So really they were in effect defunct in a way, but their borrowers or lenders kept coming to them and saying, we'll lend you money. We know you will restart your business the minute you can restart it, and we know you'll be full because there'll be all kinds of travelers dying to travel, and your cash flows will build back up again, and you'll make these interest payments. Well, the cost of interest for Carnival, Royal Caribbean, Norwegian have skyrocketed, and now it is not only higher because of how much they borrowed, it is higher on what they've borrowed, and every time they roll over debt, it gets more expensive. And all the money they borrowed starting 3 years ago and 2 years ago, that will start coming up in the next 2 years as that has to be rolled over. And now we're going to see them roll over 40, 50 billion. The whole industry is 120 billion in the whole. They're going to have to re-borrow all that money at higher rates than ever before. What do you do? How do you solve if you're the cruise lines, how do you get out of this mess? You've got to increase cash flow. You've got to increase money to not only pay the interest, you've got to bring in money to pay down the debt. You've got to start finding a way to knock 1 or 2 or 3% of that debt off every month. You've got to, if you can do 1% a month pay down of your debt, that's 100 months. That's 8 years it'll take you to get rid of all the debt. If you can pay 0.5% of the debt you owe, that's 16 years it'll take you to get rid of it. They've got to reduce how much they owe to their bankers to reduce their interest charges and get a better interest rate deal, because then the lenders are going, oh, you don't need as much. We'll give you a lower interest rate because you're not as close to the line in trouble. Now, here's the day's next story for you so that you can fully relate to what I'm talking about. Carnival has announced that they're going to raise the price of internet services on all their branded lines. Now, this is on Carnival at the moment, but this is going to go on every line. It's going to include Holland America, Princess, Cunard, every one of them. You can bank on this, okay? You can bet big money on this. All 100, whatever number of ships they have, 99, 90, 100 ships, they are going to increase the internet charges by an average of $3 a day per service per person. So if you've got a cell phone and you want internet for your phone, or you got your iPad, or you got your laptop, you're going to be paying $3 a day easily, a day more for your trip. And it's a minimum, it's $3 for every day you're on the cruise. So you can't just say, I just want internet for one day only. You're going to pay a ridiculous premium. You're going to get the 7-day deal. That's $21 a week more for your internet per device. And I'm guessing, and again, I've done some rough math here, and this is I know this is conservative. Just on Carnival itself, just the Carnival actual brand, there are about 25 ships outstanding. And I used a conservative number that 2,000 devices per cruise would have internet. 2,000 devices. Well, that works up to $6,000 a day more for Carnival. $3 a day times 2,000 devices. 7 days a week, that's $42,000 a week more in revenue for Carnival from one ship. 52 weeks a year, that one ship will generate 2.1 million additional dollars. And multiply that by 25 ships, you're looking at $54,600,000 of cash coming into the company. And I will say to you, they're not going to spend a dime more to get it. They're not going to change every ship over from what they have already. What they have already is a working internet service. But what I am not saying is this is only 25 ships. I'm not talking about the whole thing, the whole fleet. 100 ships overall. Now, maybe it's 90, 95 ships, and some ships have 3,000 users, and some ships have 4,000 users. But if we take this $54 million number and we multiply that times 4 to go from 25 ships to 100 ships, we're talking $216 million a year in additional cash in the front door. 216 million a year. Now that can cover interest payments. That can be used towards paying down debt. And this is how Carnival is going to do it. And you can bet your bottom dollar that this announcement that I'm telling you about now is going to happen at Royal Caribbean. It's going to happen at Norwegian. It's going to happen everywhere. Every cruise line is going to do it, because once one does it, the other one can do it, not be the bad guy. There's just, these are industry prices. We're just in line with industry practices. So they started it. We're doing it next. And so every passenger out there who wants to use a device on a cruise ship is going to be nailed $3 a day more. And that is pure profit. There is no commissions paid to any travel agency. There's no payoff paid to anybody. This is just added onto your bill and will be charged to you probably upfront. They say, oh, you can save if you prepay your internet. It'll be less. I have bad news. It's $3 higher no matter which way you do it. Overall, they're going to get $3 a day more per passenger, no matter how you book it, when you book it, why you book it. A year from now, they're going to haul in, as a corporation, over $216 million more dollars in revenue. And that will go towards increased cost of being in the business. And that includes their banking problems, their charges to their banker. So if there are going to be 35 million cruisers cruising on cruise ships in 2024, and 20 million are hooked up to devices, just as a rough rule, that is 60 million a day more at $3 a day to the cruise line industry. 60 million a day. No, I'm sorry. I misspoke. It's $3 a person per day times 30 million passengers. Okay, so 30 million passengers for the year, you see. So it's unfathomable. It's insane money. It's per day times 365 days times 30 million. That's what that is. Anybody got a calculator? Anybody want to tell me how much money that is? If you charge 30 million people $3 each a day more for the year, that means it isn't 3 times 30 million only. It's 3 times 30 million times 365, isn't it? Because it's per day. Can you imagine paying $1,100 a year for internet, more for internet? Okay. I know folks at home who are watching me, some of you are saying, well, Bruce, I pay $40 a month for internet. I pay 80, I pay 60. Yeah, that's what you pay per month. So 60 times 12 is $700 a year. Now, what if you had to pay $1,100 more? That's what's going on here. These ships, this is pure profit for the ships, complete, pure, absolute net money to their bottom line. It is a massive amount of money, an absolute massive amount of money per passenger per year for the cruise lines. And that's what they've got to do, because they need money badly. And this is why you've seen these drink packages go up. You've seen specialty dining go up. You've seen gratuities go up. It's all... when you're 110 billion in the hole, at least 110 billion to the bankers, and you're now paying 8 to 10% interest on that money when you used to pay 3 to 4% on maybe a third of that money. Yeah, they've got issues on the other side of the ledger, and so they got to build up this side of the ledger. And this is where a lot of people are asking themselves, is cruising in the next year or two a good deal or not? Will it still be a good deal or not compared to other ways of enjoying a vacation? Because there was a time where we would sit here and be able to talk about how cheap it would be and how cheap it is to go cruising. But it all changed, I believe, when Frank Del Rio took over at Norwegian and started nickel and diming everything. They became worse at Norwegian than airlines did. It's become an absolute race to the bottom nickel every way, shape, or form. And others are just following the way. They're just following the way on this whole thing. I don't know. I really wonder just how this is going to work out. Birds is here. A gas 255 in Dallas. Pete Hoskins. Hey, Bruce and TWB Cruisers. The first of the Virgin cruise ships arrived with Richard Branson here amid normal publicity. Not planning on booking for a while, just an FYI. Cheers from Sydney. Thank you, my friend. I did see a picture of him in the paper or on some, not paper, but on some kind of site. Annie Amon, what if the passengers refuse to pay? Well, see, you don't get it. You see, it's an optional extra. You don't have to have internet if you don't want it. But you try and go without it. There are folks who cannot be without this. Annie, cheers from Sydney. 30 Celsius just returned from Tasmania, where we should have visited New Zealand. Annie only got internet on the ship, now discounted when I needed to let my Kiwi friends know we're not going to New Zealand. I remember, of course, I the first time I cruised, and even up until one of the last few times I cruised, we had internet cafes on board cruise ships. I think those have been all phased out pretty well, haven't they? I don't know if there is an internet. Is there even an internet room anymore on a cruise ship where you can just rent by the hour? I remember the first time I took a cruise was on a modern ship was 2008. It'll come back to me. 2008. And we were on the Oosterdam and for Holland America, and they had an internet room, and you paid what was it? $100 got you 100 minutes. I can't remember what it was. $1 a minute, $2 a minute. You remember those prices? You remember those? That's all history now, isn't it something? Sharon, if you don't want to pay for internet, you can usually find free Wi-Fi in port, and there you have it right there. If you can stand it, keep your phone off for those first day or 2, 3 days, and then you got onto land, go into a local bar, local Starbucks, get a coffee, the internet. You can use now. You're back in link, and off you go. Go into a hotel, into their restaurant, or into their bar, free internet, and one drink and enjoy. And yeah, check your messages. Chris is here. Why were cruise ship stocks up today? Why would that be? Can't say why for sure. We've had a good run in the market though lately for all stocks. Although today the market did finally have a bit of a dip, not a massive one because we've been pretty high priced here. But there are those out there who believe cruise ships will make nothing but money because of the demand for cruising going forward. I wonder, however, if going forward, cruise lines will price themselves out of business. They're keeping this up, and they have no choice. I don't think this is what they want to do. Annie, I was planning on that, and then our 7 port days became 8 sea days. Oh, that's depressing. That's really depressing, Annie. Right now, by the way, thank you all for 43 thumbs ups. There are 40 people watching, and 43 have we've got 43 thumbs up. So that shows you how great you guys are. Thank you very much for these thumbs ups. Yeah, Annie, you might have been on that. Were you on that cruise that suffered the COVID outbreak? We've heard nothing but bad news out of some of these ships out of Australia. Now, speaking of Australia, I have one more piece of news for you guys I thought I'd share with you today. And this is interesting to me. This one, I first read it, and I had to read it again to fully appreciate the story. It's out of Melbourne, Australia. So apparently, there's a tourism minister, and I don't know if this is the national government of Australia. I don't think it is. I have a suspicion that this might be the state that Melbourne is located in, that they have a government. Like in Canada, we have provinces, and in the United States, we have state governments. So provincial governments, state governments, there's a state government in Australia. I believe this announcement came from a state government that happens to include Melbourne, Australia. And apparently Carnival has said no thank you to this idea. So the Ministry of Tourism in charge of the Port of Melbourne has decided to increase the per person charge that is levied on passengers on cruise ships from 28 Australian dollars, $28.50 Australian, up to $32 Australian. And apparently, from the sounds of it, the cruise lines were not consulted and were not asked, were not given a heads up. This was just announced, and it kicks in whenever it kicks in, and Carnival's going, okay, you can do whatever you want. You want to charge passengers $350 more without any notification from $28.50 plus $350. That is a like a 15% bump right off the get-go. We will not come to Melbourne. We're just not going to send our ships to Melbourne, which means that Melbourne just lost all of their Carnival ship visits going in the future, all of their Princess ship visits, Cunard visits. We're talking a huge number of people that aren't coming to Melbourne all of a sudden. These ships will skip Melbourne entirely and just boycott it. And so now the government gets nothing. Like it's not like, it's not like 4,000 passengers on a ship, give the money to the government somewhere else. They don't come into Melbourne, period. So now that $28.50 that you were getting from 4,000 passengers at a time, you're not getting any because they're not coming in at all. You're not getting an increase. You get nothing. So your budget has just been blown out the door. In the case of cruise lines, apparently Carnival has stated that in 2023, they have paid $227 million in port charge fees to governments in Australia. That's how much they have paid. That's what the passengers pay, by the way. It's not like Carnival loses. It's passengers that pay this extra fee. Melbourne apparently gets $380 million a year in business from cruise line visitors, cruise ship passenger visits. You can kiss that goodbye. Majority of that is gone, just eviscerated. Now, how many jobs are going to be affected in Melbourne from a $380 million hole in the economy? Especially those who operate tours, who operate taxis, Ubers, bus drivers, all the industries that service these vehicles, on and on it goes. This is a huge hit. The cruise line just basically said, look, you want to just impose overnight a $350 increase, that might start January or whenever it starts, without even talking to us about it. Forget it. We do not have to port here. And it's true. Carnival, through all of their cruise lines, have many other choices for other states in Australia that would be eager to get cruise ship businesses. And I can see Carnival negotiating with another city in Australia that is not in this particular state, if that is the case. And they would put together a 10-year deal. They'd work out a 10-year overhead personal charge for certain city where Carnival will throw in, give us a $15 per person charge, and we'll sink $100 million into a new port facility to handle cruise ships. Let's work together here rather than a one-way, because the government is just charging $350 to, quote, improve the port facility. Well, there are no plans, no commitments, no guarantees. Carnival's going, this is a black hole. This is a blank check. We're just giving them $350. We don't know what we're getting back. What are we getting for this? Government's under no obligation to give anything because they're not willing to negotiate upfront to even talk about the fact that this is going to happen. So maybe the voters are happy. The voters are thinking, well, better the cruise lines pay. They forget it's not the cruise lines that pay. It's the passengers on the cruise ship that have to pay the extra $350. And if they're not getting value for their money, maybe they won't even take the cruise, let alone not coming to this port. And this is where governments fall flat on their faces regarding taxing people who are not voters. These hotel service fees, these hotel taxes, these occupancy taxes that you and I have to pay whenever we go into a hotel anywhere in the world. This is a new phenomenon from about the 1980s. This is when it all started. And it's called taxation without representation. It's a way to have local governments, be they city or provincial or even national, charge visitors to these regions a tax that they can't be voted out of office for these taxes. These people don't live here. They don't vote here. They're just visitors here. And of course, Australian tourists are nailed taxes when they go elsewhere. It's everyone nailing everybody else. No one wins. No one is ahead of the curve here. The loser is the traveler, and the most upset person is the traveler. And so, why did Airbnb get created in the first place? To avoid taxation, to avoid gouging the public with ridiculous pricing. So, of course, what do governments do? They move in on the Airbnb business, and they make all Airbnb renters, they make them now a registered business licensed to rent rooms in their own houses or rent their houses or apartments. And of course, there's that occupancy tax thing that comes in. Everybody has an argument why there should be or should not be one of these. But at the end of the day, tourists are saying, we can't afford to pay these ridiculous prices. An airfare ticket from Canada, for example, you want to fly to London and back from Canada, half your ticket price, half the price you pay now is taxes to the UK source governments and Canadian governments. But if you fly into Dubai and out of Dubai, the ticket charge into Dubai is $30. How can they do that? How can they do it for 30 and the United Kingdom has to have 200? It's utterly ridiculous. Germany with Frankfurt, outrageously priced if you fly from Canada to Germany. Canada to Amsterdam, outrageously taxed, ridiculous. Come into the US, it's higher and higher every year. It never stops being lifted. And so passengers are slowly being taxed out of tourism. It's becoming that ridiculous. Can you imagine in Florida how much tax is collected by the state of Florida for its state budgets? And it's not paid for by the residents. And Florida brags to its residents, oh, we have a wonderful low taxation rate. You Floridians are so lucky. Yeah, well, the tourists are the ones picking the tab. And it gets to the point where tourists are going to say, it's not worth my time to go to Florida anymore. It's just not worth my time. I'll drive in if I come in at all. So I'll fly to Atlanta, rent a car, drive in. Or I will land from an international flight to an airport where I get a better rate. And then I will fly Southwest Airlines into Florida because it's a domestic flight. It doesn't pay as much in taxes as an international flight does. There's ways to get around it, perhaps. There's ways to not pay it. And there's other ways. Just don't go anymore. And I can see where many potential tourists in the future will not be able to afford to go to certain countries any longer because these countries have priced themselves out of the market. And maybe some of them don't want as many tourists because they're touristed perhaps. But there are cities and towns in every country that wish they had more tourists spending money in their towns, and they can't get them because these people are being turned away at the international border because of the ridiculous fees to land. Canada and America is just about to start paying a $10 additional tax to go to Europe starting next year. It's a new visa requirement, electronic thing. It's all BS. It's a tax grab. It's a money grab. That's all it is. It's a money grab from hundreds of millions of tourists a year. But no one government wants to be the one to impose it. So it's being done by the European Union. It's rather sad. Anyway, there it is. Chris is saying, yeah, I've been following you a long time, started to buy the stocks because of you. Right on, my friend. Annie, we were on P&O with a dirty hull and not acceptable to the New Zealand government. That's right. We had a great holiday instead. We're getting all of our cruise costs back. Apparently, we'll see if that works out. Pete Hoskins, our New South Wales government caused great concern when COVID broke. So I'm not surprised to the Victorian state government that includes Melbourne. I would not be surprised at all. Annie, the Port of Hobart, was grateful to see us. A bonus for them in Tasmania. Right on. Kevin, you tell them, Patrick Henry, no taxation without representation. Sandy Robinson, very interesting information tonight. I'm doing well these days with my health. Sandy, I'm so glad to hear this. I know you're in Medicine Hat, Alberta, if I recall, and you're home now. I sure hope you're just going to get better and better and better. This is great. Sharon, oh dear, God, people aren't going to suddenly flock to Southwest Airlines. Eek. I'm just using it as an example. I'm sorry. Don't mean anything by it. What can I say? Did you hear today that Alaska Airlines is buying Hawaiian Airlines? It's about what is it, $1 billion acquisition, $2 billion acquisition, I guess. They're buying them up, and that will add, of course, Hawaii to the arsenal that Alaska is now building on the West Coast. So they're solidly the fifth largest airline behind Southwest and the big three. Very interesting things happening all the time in the travel trade industry. We are right now at 50 thumbs ups on this show. This is truly impressive. There are 37 people watching. 50 thumbs ups have come in here, which of course tells me, as usual, we have people come and go. They watch me all every week. I thank you all so very much. If you're watching right now this show on the rerun, it's a few days from now, and you see the numbers at 84 or 88, please hit the thumbs up button if you're watching on the rerun. It's you rerunners that get us over 100 every week. We get 100 thumbs ups or more every show because the rerunners of this channel come together. Those of you watching live, if you're able to hit your thumbs up button and give us a little boost here before I say goodbye, thank you all very, very much for your support of this channel. However you support me, I love you for it. There it is. That's our big show of the day today. That's our big show this week. We've got poor old Panorama trying to get its engines fixed. We got Carnival jacking up the price of internet big time. We've got Australia jacking up the price of the pleasure of coming into Melbourne. I did have some photos of Melbourne. Let me show you here. Melbourne, here's the port right here, by the way. That's the port in Melbourne. You see downtown right behind there. It's a beautiful area. Here's a ship here, a shot of the Cunard ship. And you can see the port behind. That's a Queen Mary 2 right there. And then here's a beautiful shot of that green boulevard that seems to lead towards the downtown core. Isn't that beautiful? Absolutely gorgeous. I would love to visit Melbourne. Jen and I, we are hoping to make our Australian trip a reality, and Melbourne is in our crosshairs for sure. I'd love to do a couple of shows of this channel from Melbourne, Australia. I would really like that. Maybe I'll catch up with a couple of Melbourneites. Is that what they're called, by the way? Do you call someone who lives in Melbourne a Melbourneite? I don't know the answer to that question. Diane Schroeder, I smashed the like button for Bruce. Thank you, Diane Schroeder. It's nice to be in town again. I hope you're doing well. Fantastic. Hector, good evening, everybody. Sharon, have a great night. Bruce, Stephen Butler, best wishes on Jen's surgery. Diane, are you here in the desert? Yes, we are. We're right here in Monterey. Absolutely. Have to come by and say hi to you. Fantastic, everybody. Thank you so very much, all. 53 thumbs ups are now in the house. Hector hit the number 50 button right there. You guys are awesome. Thank you. The rerunners have to give up less than 50 thumbs ups to get us to 100. Is this awesome or what? Thank you. You better come by and see me. Oh, yes, definitely coming by. No question about it. Thank you all so very much for being here. Melburnians also. So there you go, Melburnians. Robert, good night, Uncle Bruce. We'll see you in the morning. You got it, Robert. Thank you, my friend. Thank you all for popping in to see us here. Jen and I are so pleased and delighted to be back in Palm Desert, California. We'll see you here next Monday night with the next big show and the update, the sponsor member show for sponsor members at 7 o'clock Eastern, 1 hour before this show. Thank you for those who are sponsor members. Thank you, all of you who are here as regulars. And thank you for these thumbs ups again today, helping us along the journey to 100 thumbs ups every Monday night. All right, guys, all the best to you. We'll catch you next week. Stay well, stay healthy. Don't forget to hug someone you love a little longer next time you see him. You never know when it's the last time. Annie Mon, wait till you see the Aussie domestic airfares. Wait till you see those. Oh, gosh, I'm afraid. Okay, kids, we'll see you next Monday, all. Take care. Bye from Palm Desert.